I've never wanted to do what everyone else is doing. So my live stream channel, for example, I was not always intending to start it off as something to talk about social issues. The social issues writing actually started on Instagram, and that too not as part of any strategy. I just started taking screenshots of my Twitter threads and posting them on Instagram, and they started going viral. And I figured, hey, this is interesting, maybe I can keep doing this, so I did that. So what I try to do on my live stream channel is that the things that need to be said in the right way. And that is, I discovered that there is an audience for that, and they're joining and they're asking questions, they're sharing, etc. So the channel is growing well enough. When I started, I thought, like, one should do what one is good at, and I was good at writing, and I figured journalism appears to be a career where you get paid to write. My closest friends have no interest in the work I do, absolutely no interest. Like, they don't know, they don't follow my YouTube channels, they don't follow me on Instagram. We don't talk about that stuff, we talk about us.
So today we have Vijayendra Mohanty with us on Origin Stories, and I'm so glad that I could do this. Thank you so much, Vijayendra, for agreeing for this interview. And
Thank you, Dhiren. Glad to be here.
we have been conversing over email for so long, but haven't really got a chance to speak with each other directly on the phone. Usually, before an interview is recorded, you tend to get to know the other person well, but we couldn't get the
Yeah,
chance of doing that.
that's all
And
right. Let's hope today suffices.
yeah, and the reason here is why we couldn't do so, because both of us are working professionals and are also occupied and doing YouTubing as a side hustle. I know that you
No,
don't
for
want
me, for
hustle.
me, it stopped being a side hustle a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like,
So which is what
I'm
all
full time doing content creation now.
so which is what Origin Stories is also all about. We try to get in at the genesis or the beginning of people, places, and event. And through your
Hmm.
journey, I wanted to capture how content creation can be taken up full time. That too for serious topics, not like
Hmm.
any comic relief, some acting or TikTok videos. That's also it has a genre of its own. But
Yeah.
for serious content creators who like to discuss about serious stuff, uh, how does it happen? What are the challenges that came along the way? And basically, how are you building your own audience doing what you do?
Well, frankly, honestly, I don't actually know how it happened, because like, it has been something that I wanted to do for quite some time, but only now am I able to do it uh, in a decent enough fashion so that it pays me some money and I can make my living off it. And the reason behind that is that, in retrospect, everything looks like, here are 10 tips that I use to grow my YouTube channel. But eh, eh, at least for me, that is not the case, because I cannot give people 10 tips about it, because I don't know how it happened. And my live stream YouTube channel recently got monetized. So I make some money through ads, I make some money through the live chat, etc. And that's very gratifying.
Hmm.
But I think a lot of times when we talk about how something worked, we neglect to mention all the instances of when it did not work. So my live stream channel, for example, I was not always intending to start it off as something to talk about social issues. The social issues writing actually started on Instagram, and that too not as part of any strategy. I just started taking screenshots of my Twitter threads and posting them on Instagram, and they started going viral. And I figured, hey, this is interesting, maybe I can keep doing this, so I did that. Thing that happens when one talks about content creation, which is that there is a tendency to think that you have made it and you know how you did it, and now you can tell other people how you did it. And I don't think that actually works very well, especially for me, because I honestly don't know how it worked. With me, the content creation did not actually start on YouTube. It started on Instagram, where I started taking screenshots of my Twitter threads, posting them, and then I figured that, hey, this is working, so I'll keep doing this. And in due course of time, I figured at some point of time YouTube makes sense, so I started making videos. In fact, I was making videos on YouTube before Instagram, but they were not working very well. My main channel, still doesn't have great success. I mean, I post videos, I do experiments there. Sometimes something takes off, sometimes something doesn't work, etc. But my main YouTube channel will be my live stream, which is happening twice a week, and it's done well for itself. I've gotten some great guests. It's like a podcast only. Like every Wednesday and Saturday at 10 p.m. I come live and I talk to someone, or I just talk to the audience in the chat. So it's working well. As to how it happened, I cannot say, because I think uh, I tried making recorded video content and uploading it, and I realized that I was not enjoying it as much as just talking to people. Like on Instagram, I did a live stream almost every day last year, and it was great fun. People will come, people will ask questions. I'll just read the comments and answer questions. And I figured this is something that I don't have to make an effort for. So I figured maybe I can do this on YouTube. And when I did it on YouTube, it had reasonable success also. The channel recently got monetized and everything. And turns out that there are at least some people who are tired of everything else. Like, there are things that need to be talked about but are not talked about. And the ways in which they are talked about leave much to be desired. So only yesterday, somebody messaged me saying, I want you to speak with a doctor in a podcast and explore spirituality as a healing option. And I'm like, I'm an atheist. And they're like, yeah, but spirituality doesn't mean, I said, I'm not going to encourage spirituality as a way of healing in any way at all. Because even if we are very nuanced about it, only one message goes out, and that is religion is wonderful. So I have to be aware of how the thing is being seen also. It's like, shouting fire in a crowded cinema hall.
Right.
I may be doing it as a joke, but the impact it will have is something I have to keep in mind. So I said no. So what I try to do on my live stream channel is that the things that need to be said in the right way. And that is, I discovered that there is an audience for that, and they're joining and they're asking questions, they're sharing, etc. So the channel is growing well enough.
So I have lots of questions because the kind of questions that you tackle, asking them and answering them are usually quite heavy duty. You simplify them. But before we do that, I want to step back a bit and really talk about the early stages of your life. I've seen a lot of videos where you tackled a lot of things. For example, I started watching your content from Epified, and
Hmm.
there on I gradually went to watch a TEDx talk by MB, and then the Vimoh channel that you have recently started. And before that, unconsciously, I think I also engaged with your content when you were with Neeti Digital, and that was the
Yeah.
time when people were discussing a lot of issues, and it was around 2014 or 12, I think, when the general elections momentum was gathering pace,
Yeah.
and everything was in a conundrum, if
Yeah.
so to speak. So while stepping back, I first want to understand, in across your videos, I've seen that you've mentioned that you've had a heavy influence by your grandfather. I want you to tell us, how it actually worked out for you.
Uh, well, influence from the grandfather is kind of inescapable because they are a serious presence in your childhood, and childhood influences are often something that people that stick with people for the rest of their lives. I think the biggest influence my grandfather had on me was the storytelling. So he used to tell us stories, and I eventually became a writer. So I suppose that is one way of looking at it. And also he was, uh, how do I put it? Because this is not even something that I've spoken with my family about. I always, he was a free spirit. Let's just put it that way. He was a free spirit who did not want to be tied down to anything. He did not want to be told what to do. And I, to a great extent, have somehow turned out to be like him. And I suppose that in a nutshell is the kind of influence my grandfather had on me.
Okay. And so, did it make it easier for you when you chose to pursue journalism as a career and as a college course?
What made it
Because
easier?
you were interested in storytelling and
Oh yeah,
basically.
absolutely. In fact, I when I started, I thought, like, one should do what one is good at, and I was good at writing, and I figured journalism appears to be a career where you get paid to write.
Hmm.
And of course, a lot of things have changed since then. It's not just writing. It's not just. In fact, most journalists are not good writers. Many journalists are not good writers, and we have entered a kind of media age where video is reigning supreme, and opinion is more important than facts. But that this decision was made by me quite early in life, that I am going to go into the arts. I'm going to make stuff, and in all probability, I'm probably going to get into journalism. So yeah, writing, being comfortable with writing was a huge part of me choosing journalism.
Vijendra, you also changed cities, colleges, professions, streams. You dealt with news, views, comics, and now content creation. Uh, did you lose friends along the way because you've changed so many things, including your
No, I
career?
don't actually have many. I don't actually have many friends. The only friends I have lost are to death itself. But yeah, as in, I have always had very few friends, and those friends have stayed with me my entire adult life. Like all the close friends I have right now are people who I met in college. And no, I never lost friends because of my professional needs, because I was always someone who kept friends out of my professional life. Like my closest friends have no interest in the work I do. Absolutely no interest. Like they don't know, they don't follow my YouTube channels, they don't follow me on Instagram. We don't talk about that stuff. We talk about us. I talk about them, they talk about me. And my like professional life does create certain acquaintances in life, and maybe they sometimes become friends, and that also has happened to me. But for the most part, my work life has remained very distinct from my personal life.
Okay. And to a layman like me, the career choices that you've made, you first were with Epified, and you had your comics, you were with Culture Machine also.
Hmm.
These choices were quite unconventional. So, how was the thought process in pursuing these new initiatives? Did you create these opportunities yourselves, or did they come along and you just chose to ride the wave?
Well, they're unconventional because I did not want to do conventional things. I've never wanted to do what everyone else is doing. That that area has never held any interest for me. Like when I was growing up, there were a few career options in front of people, and I was like, what is the point of everyone doing that same thing? And for everyone, what was a source of comfort for everyone? Ki, okay, this is a path that I can follow because this is a path that has been made available to me by those who came before me. I was always of the opinion that this can't be the only path. There has to be something else. So I always did the other thing. And I know this sounds, maybe I sound boastful when saying this, like I was so adventurous as a child, but it wasn't about adventure. It was about survival. I don't think I could survive doing the things that people do in the course of a normal life. Like I told you, my grandfather, like a free spirit thing, that freedom has always been extremely important to me. So, to such an extent that if I have two job offers, one is paying more but requires me to go to office, sit for a certain number of hours and do a very specific set of tasks. Other is paying less but I have more freedom. I'll always choose the one that gives me more freedom.
So, between all these job switches or the career path that you created for yourself, what were the highs, what were the lows, and how did you pull out yourself from the lows?
The highs were that I feel fortunate to have done stuff that, like, I had a small job that lasted about 2 months. And like that was the entire duration of the consultancy ship. It was not like I was asked to go or something. But for 2 months, I was being paid money to read stories. It was a kind of feedback giving job. So I can say to my grandchildren, if I ever have any, that for 2 months in my life I made money by reading, and reading is a fun thing for me, is the most fun thing for me. So I live for experiences like that. And I try to do quality work, and that is all that I suppose, like that is the highest thing I can expect from life, in my opinion. My goal has never been to own a car, own a house, something like that. My idea of happiness has been very different. It has been to enjoy life, not in a not in a very frivolous way, but do good things, and get the best that the mental life has to offer. So in that respect, I've been lucky. Those have been the highs. I have run Epified, as you said. It was a job that offered me great freedom. I for 2 years I was writing video scripts. I was talking with voiceover artists, with animators, and we were making small cartoons to put up on YouTube. That was a fun job. Before that, I was at an agency called Shack, where we made web comics in service of a brand, but still web comics, and it was a fun job. Before that, I wrote a comic book series called Ravanayan, 10 issues, which is still selling. It's in the market. It's not gone out of fashion. And right now I'm making YouTube videos podcasts, audio dramas. I'm writing, political commentary, but that part is not something that I have to put effort into, because we are all exposed to the media, and I have opinions, and I express them using my whatever skill with words I have.
Right.
The lows have to do with the ups and downs of this field. As in, if you are a freelancer of any kind, you have to deal with bad clients, you have to deal with people who owe you money but don't pay you, you have to deal with people's deception, you have to deal with uh, clients from hell, as they're called. Sometimes there is a website called Clients from Hell, right? It's one of my favorite websites. I go there sometimes and read horror stories about people being being made absurd requests to by clients. So that sort of stuff, I suppose, would count as low. One of the lowest points in my professional life and was a project that I spent a long time on, and then the client just flat out refused to pay me, and it was a lot of money. And that was one of the points, like one of the last points in my life when I worked for someone else. After that, I've been very hesitant to do it. I decided I'll just work for myself. I'll see if my work has value for other people, and those who value it may be able to pay for it. So I have not worked for other people after that.
There are so many other passionate content creators, storytellers who want to do something on their own, but are held back by the hesitation and doubts that whether it will fly or not.
Hmm.
uh, you've worked for someone else, you've worked on your own. What is the kind of suggestion that you would give them?
Well, first of all, it's not just hesitation that holds them back. Not everyone is as privileged as I am with respect to, like, for example, this house that I'm in, it's my ancestral house where I don't have to pay rent. If someone is living in Mumbai, like I was living in Mumbai and I could not do this from Mumbai.
Hmm.
This would not be possible in Mumbai. A, because the amount of money that I'm making now will not even be enough to pay my rent in Mumbai.
Hmm.
It works in a small town because it's a cheaper place, and also not everyone has a house that they can come back to and make their base. Not everyone is in a position to let go of their job, because many of them have to pay their children's school fees, or support their parents or something like that. uh, I have been relatively lucky in the decisions I made early in life, is that मुझे एक्स्ट्रा खर्चा नहीं चाहिए, मुझे ये सब चीज़ें करनी है, मैं इन सब चीज़ों के ऊपर फोकस करूंगा. ये जो एक्स्ट्रा खर्चा है मुझे उसके अंदर जाना ही नहीं है. आई नो हाउ लाइफ कैन बी, आई हैव सीन अदर पीपल गो थ्रू इट. So I decided long time ago that I'm going to take that road over there, and I'm not going to go this way. So that has been one thing. As far as hesitation is concerned, yes, that is a thing. But I don't think I can tell people, like, there are a lot of people who give advice like, just focus and don't hesitate and just go into it and you can achieve it. I'm not a huge fan of that, because I don't know about the circumstances of other people. There are people for whom uh, earning the bread and butter for a family of six people might be more important. I can't go to them and say just take a leap of faith, and I'm a free bird. Maybe they're not. Maybe their life has not allowed them that privilege. So yeah, I do say to people who can afford it that you should take a risk. You can, if you can take a risk, do take a risk. If you can't, it's perfectly all right, go slower, it's okay. Leo Tolstoy learned how to ride a bicycle at the age of 40. So until the day you are out of this world, you still have time.
Right. Can you tell me about what are the two channels that you operate? One is Vimoh, which is mostly about your political views, your views on news.
So Vimo is my vlog,
Ah,
and I don't share my personal life online at all. As far as possible. So my vlog also ends up being political. Vimo Live is my live streaming channel where I come live and talk to the audience twice a week, Wednesday and Saturday at 10 p.m. And I recently have started a gaming channel, which is, frankly, honestly, the idea behind it was to relieve my mind of all the stress that news and other things are causing. So I want to play some video games. And since I am someone who cannot do anything without making content out of it, my gaming habit became a gaming channel. It's very new. There are not even 100 subscribers right now, but I hope it grows. I've been playing Minecraft, so that is fun.
hmm.
I have a podcast on which the audio of my live streams goes twice a week. Then I have a couple of other projects which are smallish, but I don't want to talk about them because it appears that not all of them might survive. Like my way of doing things, that I try 10 things, the two things work out of them, and I built on top of them. The other things that don't work fall by the wayside. It's like evolution,
So how do you
survival
keep
of the
your focus
fittest.
then?
I don't. I'm very fickle. I keep my focus, like what keeps my focus on my project is the disciplines that I have created. My live stream, for example, I have told people everywhere that Wednesday and Saturday at 10 p.m. I'll come live. If I
Hmm.
don't fulfill that promise, the channel will die. People will stop coming, right?
Hmm.
So the fear of losing them keeps me going. So even when I'm not motivated on Wednesdays and Saturdays, I have to go live.
Hmm. And
Once
what is
I think
your
one, I think it's a way to, like, you have to, like, religion is basically human beings created something bigger than themselves and started worshiping it. So work wise also you have to create something bigger than yourself, and in my case it is a set of rules that I have decided, I have made, but I cannot break. I have made those rules more important than my all other concerns. I have to go live on Wednesday and Saturday, and I will. If I don't, people will, stop coming to my channel, and I will lose the monetization on that channel. So that pressure keeps me working. And it's like the moment I click the go live button, all the motivation comes back.
hmm.
All the doubt and the laziness is right up before that point. You just have to start. Once you start, things will take care of themselves.
And the kind of topics that you're handling, what is the kind of repercussion that you're also handling?
I get some abuse and some threats, etc. But that's part of life online. Like almost every single day, someone will send in abuses, and often these people are people, like, I feel bad for them. Like, how sad does your life have to be for you to spend time writing essay type of abuse-filled messages to someone else who you don't even know personally? By the way, people
Hmm.
jump to all kinds of conclusions. Today I got a message from someone who was very spiritual. Apparently he said, you have no friends, you have no family, and you're a rebellious teen. And my response was, I have friends, I have family, and I'm 40 years old.
Nice. So I have one more question. I have actually lots. I wanted to know that you produced Epify, which is a source of religious information and knowledge for a lot of people. And
Hmm.
then you turned an atheist. What was this, turning point, and how did you really overcome that? Because there would be a phase between when you discover something, there is a realization followed by confusion, and before you decide it. How did
Hmm.
you deal with that confusion that was in the interim?
Oh, this was a lifetime long journey, by the way. It didn't happen at any single point. I made a long video about it
Hmm.
on my main channel, How I Became an Atheist. So while Epified was going on, I was 75% an atheist already. But I had a certain love for Hindu culture, Hindu mythology, etc., that kept me attached to it. And even towards the last days of Epified, I feel like I was working, but whenever I had no work, I would be watching atheism related videos on YouTube, reading atheism related books, etc. So I was an atheist, but I was not a declared public content creating atheist. That is what it was. As far as the mythology is concerned, I'm still quite fond of it. They're good stories, right? And I think if someone is an atheist who's making content publicly, tell people, to educate people about atheism, then you kind of need to know religion. And fortunately, all my work with Epified kind of trained me for that. So even when right now someone comes and says कि ये धर्म में ये नहीं है, वो नहीं है, तुम झूठ बोल रहे हो, I can cite sources and I can tell them that you're wrong. Like, I can tell you who the parents of the five Pandavas were, so that you don't call them Pandavas. Pandavas means Pandu Putra. None of them were the sons of Pandu. So this kind of stuff, I find a lot of atheists mostly rely on sarcasm, and I feel that that has its place. But sometimes when you're talking to religious people and you have to counter them, knowledge of some amount of religious texts and philosophy helps. And I was neck deep in it. I was neck deep in it.
You were
So
also neck
even,
deep in right wing content and beliefs.
yeah, but that was before Epified. That was the Niti Digital part that you were talking about. And I
Hmm.
made a video about this also. I used to be a right winger. I used to be a huge supporter of the guy who's in the prime minister's office right now. And I no longer am, because of the bad policies these people have made, and frankly the bigotry that they're spreading. I was foolish enough to think that Hindutva could be a path for a better India. Of course it can't. But I realized the reason I thought so was because of my own Hindu privilege, the attachment that I had to my own religion. caused me to think that, yeah, I should give this nonsense a chance. And now my atheism is kind of also a defensive shield because it removes me from the context of thinking like a Hindutvawadi. So I can look at these things more objectively and more clearly. And a lot of it, if you have seen the live stream, comes through.
Why are other people who have a scientific bent of mind unable to see this, what you have seen?
Childhood memories, mostly. Like people, there is a difference between thinking you have a scientific bent of mind and actually having a scientific bent of mind. If a
Yeah.
scientific bent of mind thinks being skeptical about things and questioning everything, then these people don't have a scientific bent of mind because their questioning stops when it comes to the religion that they were indoctrinated into as children. If
I
you
was
tell them that you were indoctrinated into your religion as a child, they will say, no, I was not indoctrinated. I totally love my religion. And that's because they don't remember when it happened.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I was talking about how my personal Hindu privilege kept me attached to the idea that perhaps the Hindu Rashtra might be a good idea,
Mhm.
because I thought everyone will be happy there and it will be a counterbalance to the Western kind of state. I realized that that is not possible because I was like about 10 years ago, I was the kind of person who would go on Quora and say things like, no, caste system to bahut pehle ki baat hai, aajkal nahi hota kuch. So now I am no longer of that view and I talk very like uh, very vocally against it. And I understand how my privilege affected my way of looking at things. So that is what I was talking about.
Do you think there is some economic motivation to support different political parties from a layman's perspective? Someone who is not a politician, not into active politics, but keeps on forwarding those messages, thinking that, I'm supporting a larger cause.
If you're asking if some people get paid to do that, then I think, yeah, some people do get paid to do that. But I think most people are unpaid labor for them. Like their religious loyalties are being harnessed to make them uh, free workers for the cause of
Hmm.
party propaganda. So our uncles, we have people in our own families, right? Our uncles and dadas and mamas, they all do this for free because on some level this has been a reprogramming of the republic. The citizen has been convinced that he's a subject and that he should, his the greatest purpose he can serve is to do malik 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 malik. And these are all people who think that they are serving their gods, but they're actually only serving a few opportunist human beings. And
Hmm.
of course, India has always been very anti minority, and that sentiment has also been appropriated into this. It's a proper khichdi of everything poisonous. That is what we are going through right now.
Right.
And people are doing it for free. They're not actually all being paid, which
Yeah.
is why I think that, like, this is something that I'll just quickly add. I keep telling people that this is not an anti one political party fight. You get rid of this one, another one will come. They'll realize, okay, this party came to power because of all these things. I should also do it. And they will go right back to doing this thing. And Indian society will reward it.
Hmm.
So the fight is not against any political leader or any political party. It is, to put it loosely, this is about social reform. It is about changing how people think. It is about reminding people about their highest potential. And contrary to popular belief, that higher potential has nothing to do with religion.
Hmm.
Religion only keeps you back, it only holds you back. The actual solution is to build a society where everyone can be equal. Not everyone is equal, because I don't know if that is how close we are to that. But a society where equality is a value in which everyone believes, at least, because we don't even have that. Thanks to casteist thinking, people are of the opinion that, hey, I oppose caste violence, but caste system is not a bad thing, which is like such a dumb thing to say. It's like saying, I'm not a racist, but race is okay.
Yeah. So you've also called out a lot of aspects in popular culture, like hustle culture, motivation
Mm.
content, and all those things. See, when we are talking about making good content where you get a lot of numbers, so that you can monetize it better, you can earn more.
Yeah.
This kind of content gets a lot of views. How does it work for being a contrarian content creator, where you're calling them out?
Honestly, I haven't even started calling them out, because calling out would be like, the other day I saw a video by Chetan Bhagat where he was effectively saying, uh, in order to be seen as successful, guys have to achieve. And what he did not say by implication was that it's easy for girls, which adds to the culture of guys thinking that लड़कियां तो अपना appearance use करके सब कुछ पा लेती हैं और हम ही मेहनत करते हैं. So in a society where patriarchy is effectively ruining millions of lives every single day, we have a generation of boys who think that women are actually opposing them and dominating them, which is the complete opposite of reality. This hustle culture thing and spirituality and motivational videos, what they do is that they make people see themselves as only individuals. This is hyper individualism. And what the problem with hyper individualism is that when you're focused on yourself, be it spiritual, कि आत्मा, अपने आप को बेहतर बनाओ, अपने आप को अपना होराइजन वाइडन करो. When you're talking about hustle culture, अपने मोटिवेशन पे ध्यान दो, अपने एफर्ट पे ध्यान दो, be it motivational videos, they all make people selfish. They all make people focus only on themselves. And when that happens, I'm not saying focusing on yourself is a bad idea. I'm saying that when the entire focus is on that, you become blind to other things, which are very important, like social issues, like collective causes, like पूरे planet का क्या होने वाला. You can focus on yourself as much as you want, but if the planet goes to shit, you will not do any better.
Right.
All of this hyper individualism, capitalism, hustle culture, motivational videos, the influence that they have on all of us, which is about, अपने आप को बेहतर बन. Like we have religious stuff which literally goes into saying कि तुम दुनिया को नहीं बदल सकते, अपने आप को बदलो, है ना? We see this so many times in so many stories in so many different mythologies. You like focus on your own perspective. The world cannot be changed. The world is what it is, which is such a bad thing to say, which is such a terrible lie to say, because the only way the world will change is if the world is focused on. And we make people feel guilty for trying to do that. हाँ, ये दुनिया बदलने चले, तुम्हें क्या पता दुनिया कैसी है. And हाँ, ये लोग तो मतलब social causes के पीछे. Every time there has been a social reformer in history, not only of India but in the world, who has tried to change something, he has been told or she has been told that the world is far older than you and it has worked like this for thousands of years. Who are you to change it? So that tendency, contemporary time में, it has taken the form of hustle culture. Hustle culture का क्या है? मेरा उसकी वजह से नहीं हुआ, मेरा इसकी वजह से नहीं हुआ, सिस्टम में डिस्क्रिमिनेशन है. तो हसल कल्चर गुरु विल टेल यू, दूसरों को ब्लेम करके क्या मिलेगा, अपने आप को बेहतर बनाओ. सो दैट selfishness inducing tendency is in all of these things, and that is what I oppose, because when we do this we will focus on
sorry
yeah.
One.
So I was saying that until we start thinking about systems, until we start holding systems responsible, we will never get out of this hellhole, which has been created by hyper individualism. And the systems, all these systems, they're very careful to never allow focus to go on the system itself. They will always point out one guy, it is his fault. Or if you are someone who's angry at the system, the world cannot be changed, change yourself. These are all very lofty sounding sentiments, and the only end result they serve is that just think about yourself. I know it doesn't sound like that when they say it. They package it very well, but at the end of the day, the focus is only be selfish, think about yourself.
But Vijayendra,
and I don't think that is something that works.
Here, don't you think it also has a market validation to this thought? Because
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So maybe
here's the thing. Religion is something that is carried forward on a vessel called mythology. Mythology is stories. The most important thing to remember about stories is that stories can hardly ever be about systems. Stories have characters, right? People relate with characters. People look at a story, they see a face, a pair of eyes, nose, mouth, emotion, tears, smiles, etc. It's relatable. So when people say focus on yourself, they're actually engaging in behavior that they're already pre-programmed for biologically. It is hard to write stories that are based on systems. That is why even when a religion says that we are for all people everywhere, it is still focused on a mythology where there is one main character. In Christianity, it is Jesus. In Islam, it is Muhammad. In Hinduism, it is, in the mythological stories, there are characters who people focus on.
Hmm.
So it is difficult to make people aware of systems, and therefore all the people who a lot of people on Indian YouTube who think they're radical thinkers are actually not saying anything radical at all. They're bajawing that same old phata hua dhol that we have been bajawing for thousands of years now, in hyper individualism. So it's going to take work, and even I am not sure how to do it, but I am taking some steps in the right direction, I hope, and let's see where this goes.
This reminds me of the statement by Barack Obama that all liberal thinkers are actually standing in a circular firing squad. Do you think there is a way to break the circle?
I don't think it's a demerit. You've heard the phrase like it's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah.
I think that is the case here. I think if we are to build a more diverse society, we have to have a more diverse playing field, including a diverse playing field of ideas. The right doesn't do it, the left does it.
Hmm.
So liberals and leftists should stop seeing this as a bug. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Sure, there'll be disagreements. And
Hmm.
I like some people say that kuch log kuch zyada hi woke ho gaye hain. I don't think there is anything called being too woke. I do think there is something called being inconsiderate. Like in our quest for ideological purity in matters of social conduct, we sometimes are inconsiderate towards the reasons people do things. फॉर एग्जाम्पल कुछ दिनों पहले किसी ने बोला कि या श्योर पुरुष महिलाओं पर अत्याचार करते हैं, पर महिलाएं ही महिलाओं की खुद की दुश्मन है. एंड द प्रॉब्लम देयर इज दैट द सिस्टम इज पेट्रियार्की. Men are victims of it, women are victims of it. Women are more victims of it because patriarchy benefits men, but it doesn't actually benefit men entirely either. I'm not saying men are more victims than women, but I'm saying that the system needs to be focused on. And a lot of people who are victims of a system and yet continue to perpetrate it are also victims of the system.
Yeah. I remember there was an National Family Health Survey where maximum number of women agreed that it is right for a husband to beat his wife.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that like blew
It's
my mind.
patriarchy. It's like
Yeah.
any sentiment being expressed by men or women, which implicitly or explicitly makes men more important than women, is something that is a direct result of patriarchy. And patriarchy is imposed both through culture, through religion, through all religions, by the way.
Hmm.
Every religion, every main religion that we know of is patriarchal to one extent or the other.
Right. And that is why it will never break. Do you think
No,
so?
well, no, I hope. I always have hope.
Okay.
If I didn't, I wouldn't be doing things like this.
So that was the end of my questionnaire. I wanted to check with you on some of the books that you once did your library tour, and
Ah, yeah.
you mentioned a few books that were very intriguing. Like some storylines were way out of this world. Like there was a book which
Science
talked
fiction,
about,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
two planets being very close to each other. I think wooden rocket
Wooden spaceships. Wooden spaceships. Yeah.
ships. Yes.
Bob Shaw.
Yeah.
It's actually a series. It's actually a series of 3 books or 4 books. I've only read one of them, and that too because I got the book from a half-rate bookseller near my home when I was in college. But it really captured my imagination and
So,
got
what
me
is your daily
reading.
schedule like nowadays?
My daily schedule is I wake up, I write a little, and then if I'm feeling like it, I will record something, and then I will in the afternoon I'll play some games and I'll record the gameplay for the gaming channel. In the evenings I will do stuff like this, all the calls and meeting taking and all that.
Hmm.
At night on Wednesday and Saturday I do my live stream, and after the live stream ends I either take little bits and pieces from it and post it to Instagram, like Instagram reels,
Yeah.
or I make a clip out of it. Like Vimoh live पे live stream होता है, वो उस लाइव स्ट्रीम का ऑडियो जाता है पॉडकास्ट पे, उस लाइव स्ट्रीम के छोटे छोटे क्लिप्स जाते हैं मेन चैनल पे जो कि विमो है.
Hmm.
एंड दैट्स इट. वही है. आई माय डेज आर जस्ट कंटेंट क्रिएशन, न्यूज़ कंजम्पशन, and then thinking a little and then writing something about it, and then on the basis of what I have written, doing content.
Yeah. I've noticed that in your writing, you break down things in a very systematical manner and then you reconfigure them to explain what is the point that you are trying to convey. How do you do that?
I have no idea. This has been asked before, by the way. I have no idea.
Okay.
It goes straight from thought to keyboard.
How many times
Like
do
I
you
think I
rewrite
think the
that?
reason is, sorry,
How many times do you rewrite that content before you
nothing,
actually
never,
post it?
never.
It's all
I
first
just
draft.
write. Yeah, it's all first draft. There are typos in it. There are often typos in it. Sometimes, like the number of typos varies. Sometimes I'm very focused and there are no typos. Sometimes I'm a little distracted and then there are some typos. But I don't rewrite. I don't make a list. I think I've been doing this for so long. I've been writing since childhood, and most of the writing I've done is like, I'll read something and I want other people to know it, and I'm obsessed with being clear. It
Hmm.
comes across in my speaking also. Like I try to not mispronounce words. I try to speak as clearly as possible because I have this mortal fear of being misunderstood.
Hmm.
So I've, I have always written with one goal, which is that the thing that I'm saying should affect people on an understanding level and an emotional level. So these days I don't have to work on it. Something comes to my mind, I sit down, I type it, I post it. There is no planning.
Hmm.
And there was a period of time when someone told me that I should do a like I should make videos about how to write, and I gave some advice, and a friend of mine said that makes no sense at all to me, because the advice I gave was that just sit down and write. And he said, I don't know what that means, I can't do it. And I realized that the thing that I'm taking for granted is actually perhaps not transferable. So I have no idea how I do it. I just sit down and write, and it works for some reason.
Yeah, I came across we come across this term called the writer's block, and
Hmm.
I was reading how to write book, and there it said that there is nothing called a writer's block because just like how a driver knows where to drive, a
Yeah,
writer knows what to write.
yeah. I've written something about writer's block. I have actually a video about writer's block. I'm not sure if it is public anymore, but I think writer's block has, you can use another word to describe writer's block, and that word is laziness.
Okay, Vijayendra, it was fun talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. Have a
Thank
great
you, Dhiren. Thank you so much. This was so much fun to talk about. These are really surprising questions because I usually don't find myself facing these specific questions. So your choice of questions was quite surprising in a good way. In a good way.
Okay, thank you.